All right. Let's talk about time limits in which to bring a lawsuit, because that is one of the most important things you, as an attorney, are going to have to decide when talking to somebody that you meet for the very first time, somebody who now tells you their story. And then you have to decide whether or not this possible case is timely. Anybody here knows generally what the time limit is for medical malpractice cases? For an adult? For a private hospital or private doctor? Anybody? Don't shout it out all at once. The answer is an adult has 2.5 years from the date of any wrongdoing within which to bring a lawsuit against a private doctor or private hospital. But there are many variations and exceptions, and I'm going to go through them with you because it's really important to know. All right, now let's say a woman goes to her doctor complaining of a breast lump. Doctor says, yeah, I see the lump, we're going to watch it. Come back in 6 months, we'll watch it. Okay, patient comes back in 6 months, it's no different. He says, come back again another 6 months, we'll continue to watch it. Well, the lump goes away, the doctor forgets about it, the patient forgets about it, and now the patient continues to go for a yearly checkup to the gynecologist, and now after 4 years, all of a sudden this lump returns. But now it's coming back with a vengeance. It's big, it's angry, it's red. The doctor sees it and says, oh my God, we've got to get you to a breast surgeon for a biopsy. We're going to do a mammogram, we're going to do a sonogram. And lo and behold, after biopsy, turns out this is metastatic breast cancer. The same exact location where the patient had complained 4 years earlier. And now the patient wants to turn around and sue the doctor. Are they timely? Is this patient timely? Remember, I just told you, you normally have 2.5 years from the date of the wrongdoing in which to bring a lawsuit. Under that rule, the patient's not timely, right? But there is a new law, a new rule in New York, focused only on failure to diagnose cancer cases. And you may have heard the phrase or the term based on Laverne's law. It involved a woman who brought a lawsuit against a municipal hospital in New York, claiming that they failed to diagnose her cancer, and she died. Unfortunately for her, she was not timely. And thankfully, last year, the law was changed. So now, patients in failure to diagnose cancer cases have 2.5 years from the date of discovering this diagnosis in which to bring a lawsuit. So that is a great result for injured patients in situations involving failure to diagnose. So that's remarkable. What about this one? Let's talk about foreign objects. You go in for surgery, and somebody inadvertently leaves a surgical clamp inside of you. Or maybe they leave a surgical sponge inside of you. How much time does this injured patient have to bring a lawsuit? I will tell you, it's not 2.5 years. And it's not 2.5 years from the time of recognizing it. Anybody? Anybody know how much time they have? Before we can answer that question, we have to ask 2 more questions. Was the thing that was left inside designed to be left inside, or was this something that was never intended to remain inside? And the distinction is critically important. So, in a case involving a patient who winds up having surgery and now a surgical clamp is left inside, and they find it, let's say by x-ray, we have to ask the question, was this something that was designed to be left inside? If this is a surgical clamp, the answer is no. So in that instance, the patient has only 1 year from the date of discovering that in which to bring a lawsuit, or when they reasonably should have recognized this foreign object. That last trailing part of the sentence is going to be important in a moment. All right, so here's an example. A young couple, a number of years ago, were trying to have a baby. For an entire year they were trying and they were having no success. They decide to go for fertility testing. She winds up being totally fine. The husband, however, not so. Turns out they asked the husband, hey, listen, did you ever have surgery when you were younger? He says, yeah, you know what, now that I think about it, I had surgery, I had a torsion of my testicle. And the doctor put in something to hold the testicle to the scrotum so this wouldn't happen again. He said, well, that explains it. Because whoever put in that stitch to hold that in place, cut off the tube that allows the sperm to travel up from the testicle up and out. And because this was closed off at such a young age, you no longer have the ability to have children naturally. So now he turns around and says, I want to sue the doctor who did this procedure. Makes sense, right? Okay, So, how much time does this gentleman have in which to bring a lawsuit against the doctor who treated him when he was a young child? Let's ask the question. Was this stitch something that was designed to be left inside of him? The answer is yes, which means you don't have the benefit of the date of discovery from that time. You only have 2.5 years from the date of the wrongdoing in which to bring a lawsuit. Now, admittedly, this guy was a child at the time, so he was a minor, which means in his case he'd have up until the age he turned into majority. But even then, he was already in his late 20s, which means his time is long gone. So for foreign objects cases, you always have to ask, was this something that was intended to remain inside or not? Makes a big difference.